This is music, and this is a plea to the global metal family. Yes, I just stole Joe Sims's global metal family metaphor. Now, this is a video that I wanted to do much earlier, but for different reasons, it just wasn't possible for me. But now it is, so let's do it. And basically, I just want to shout out and show support to some rock and metal artists and record shop and a radio show. So let's do it. As some of you know, one of my favorite record shops right here in Copenhagen is Mephisto. I found a lot of really cool things in the Mephisto record shop. Now, they recently started a YouTube channel, and I would just encourage everybody to go and check out the channel and have a look at their videos. For now, they have 4 videos on the channel. 3 of them are in Danish, but they have English subtitles activated, and then they have one in English. And their plan is to release some videos in English and some videos in Danish with English subtitles. So they have a really cool video, which is kind of a tour of the record shop. It's in Danish, but it has English subtitles, and I would definitely recommend checking that one out because it just gives you an idea of what a cool record shop it is. It's a metal record shop first and foremost, but they do have some punk and some hard rock, which personally I consider hard rock part of the metal universe, but whatever. And sometimes some classic rock and other things. But yeah, it's a metal record shop and it's really cool. And you can see how cool it is if you check out that tour video. They also have a pretty cool video from the Metal Magic Festival. I think it's from last year, where they interview some audience members and some artists who performed there. And it's mostly in Danish with English subtitles, but the last part is in English because they interview a Swedish band and they decided to do that in English. That's a cool video. Then they have an introduction to a label that is also owned by this guy who owns Mephisto, Dead Bangers Productions. So they talk a little bit about that label and also about, I think, the most recent release on that label, which is the debut album by a Danish untraditional black metal band called Ild Fetish. That's a cool video. And they also have a video where they unbox a huge, massive collection of secondhand records that they bought and talk about how they process the records, which ones Oleg decides to keep. That's the owner of the record shop. He decides to keep for himself and which ones he wants to sell and so on and so forth. Really cool video. It's a great record shop. If you find yourself in Copenhagen, please visit Mephisto and pick something up. Vinyl, a poster, a t-shirt, I don't know, a cassette tape, a CD, a patch. They have like weird, obscure horror movies as well, weird VHSs. They have a lot of cool stuff. It's a shop you have to visit if you find yourself in Copenhagen. But I would encourage you to check out their YouTube channel. Some of you may know that the legendary underground metal band Axemaster have recorded, mixed, mastered its already brand new album, and there is a Kickstarter fundraiser run by the label Cosmic Fire Records, and the whole purpose is to get that album released. So I would definitely encourage you to go and check out that Kickstarter and chip in. They got cool rewards and stuff. It's very, very close to reaching its goal. In fact, let's have a look at it so you can see the cool rewards and so on and so forth. Okay, so here we have the Axemaster campaign in Kickstarter. And of course, you can get some info on the campaign, on the album, and this is the artwork. Awesome. I have heard the album, actually, it's great. It has to be released. It deserves it. You got the lineup and so on and so forth. So that is very cool. I figured we would have a look at the rewards. And of course, you want to click this one here, back this project. So you got the Beast bundle, which is currently featured. You got a signed physical CD. You got the T-shirt as part of this reward. They dug out some old vintage posters that are even signed, and of course the digital download, and you get a patch as well. And the really cool thing is that you can actually kind of customize your reward and add stuff to it. I have made my pledge and I have customized my reward already. If you just want to support the band without getting anything out of it yourself, other than having helped a legendary underground band release a fantastic album, you can do that with support the legacy. Um, you can do the good old digital download. That's possible here as well. You can do the good old CD, the Digipack. It also comes with a download, and you can customize it and add cool stuff. Then you have uh, the signed edition, where you actually get a CD that's signed by Joe and Jeff. Jeff is the vocalist. You can get a T-shirt if you don't want a physical CD or whatever. You can get the T-shirt and the digital download. You can of course add a CD if you want. I think it's really cool. You can customize them. You got the patch bundle where the CD comes with a patch, and of course the digital download. You got the vintage fan pack, where you actually get your name in the campaign credits, which is pretty cool, and you get the vintage poster as well. You have the collector's pride, where you also get your name in the credits, and there's a CD and a T-shirt and a patch and the digital download. I think the cool thing is that if you want more CDs that you can give to your friends, you can add a lot of those, right? If you want more, T-shirts, or if you want I don't know, a battle vest only with Axemaster patches. I think it's really cool, this customization feature. And then you have this crazy reward, the Axemaster Executive Council, um, with a lot of just crazy items. This is definitely for hardcore collectors. You get executive producer credit. You get a CD, an archive CD that's hand numbered, only 5 of those. A handwritten lyric sheet. Um, Even a conversation with Joe himself. He's a super nice guy, so definitely that's something to definitely go for. You get the T-shirt, the vintage poster, the patch, and the signed CD, and you can add more stuff if you want to. So those are the active rewards, and then you have some old ones. You had the early bird one, you had the ultimate metal supporter, where you get your name printed in the CD booklet. You get a personalized thank you message and all that stuff. This one, I think it took a week or something, and then this one was completely claimed. So yeah, as you can see, it's so close. It's so close. So, if you really want to support a legendary underground metal band that have influenced a lot of artists that you're probably a fan of, all you have to do is go down here, click this, and pick a reward and, you know, help make this album a reality. So there you have it. Please go support a great heavy metal band. Uh, Nice guys, great musicians. This album deserves to be released, and it's so close. So please go and support Axemaster and Cosmic Fire Records. Next, I want to shout out guitarist Dan Begelman. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce his surname, but let's just go with Dan Begelman. He's a guitarist and a composer, and he has 4 albums out. One of them is kind of a solo album, and the other ones are with a band called Project 7. So it's instrumental, kind of progressively leaning rock with hard rock and metal elements. He has a YouTube channel that you can go and check out. I did go there and I checked out all the albums that he has out on the channel, and individual songs and so on and so forth. He also has a guitar teaching and guitar tech channel on YouTube that you can go and check out, and definitely from his compositions and his guitar playing, he's someone you want to learn a trick or four or 500 from when it comes to playing the guitar. So great stuff, great music. I did, like I said, check out all the albums and songs I could find, mostly on his channel. And the three Project 7 albums, one of them is called Paradigm Shift, one of them is Birth, Death, Infinity, and then one that's called Lost for Words. Uh, that's great stuff. Great, tasty instrumental rock with a lot of tasty lead guitar work. And a lot of it is actually kind of blues rocky, not so much shreddy. The guy can shred. He's a technically very, very accomplished and skilled guitar player, but he can also do like bluesy stuff and, play stuff that appeals to, the feels, if you know what I mean. So there's a lot of just tasty lead guitar work on those Project 7 albums. And they're also kind of jazz fusion derived. So there's definitely that kind of progressive jazzy vibe, which I really like jazz rock. I like uh, Chick Corea, Electric Band, for example, and Cuddy Band, and so on and so forth. It's in that vein as well. And you also have some mellow and smooth moments on those albums. There is a lot of melody, but there's a lot of quite heavy stuff as well, some heavy riffs and some blistering guitar solos as well. So there should be interest, or there should be something that would interest people that are into metal. Uh, it does lean to the proggy side of things for sure, not just with the jazz rock, but also like more like progressive rock and progressive metal. I will say that Lost for Words is a little bit more straightforward, and there are more smooth jazz kind of elements on that one. But overall, I think the three Project 7 albums are absolutely fantastic. Great stuff if you like uh, instrumental guitar driven rock music with elements from jazz fusion and metal and so on and so forth. And then he has uh, a solo album called Something Glass. This one is actually quite accessible, but it is quite heavy in places as well. It's mostly upbeat, I would say, but it does have some quite dark and ominous passages that should appeal to metal fans as well. There's a good focus on melody and textures, and it's not just shredding. There's a lot of rocky and bluesy guitar solo work on his solo album too, and there's some acoustic stuff as well on that album, which is interesting. And you got elements of jazz rock, and you got some, I would say, kind of Gary Moore-esque bluesy playing too. So that's a really, really good solo album as well. So definitely, if you like instrumental jazz rock, that's definitely worth checking out Dan Begelman's output. Yeah, so if you like your um, Satriani, your Steve Vai, your Josh Keach, of course, our good friend Josh, all that sort of instrumental guitar driven rock, which I do like a lot. So go and check out Dan Begelman. I'm sure you will like his output. So please do that. I also want to shout out a Finnish progressive death metal band called Denominate. They released an album quite recently called Restoration. Now it's progressive death metal. It's not necessarily like tech progressive death metal, but it's definitely progressive death metal. So it's not like your, um, let's say, Obscura, for example. It's not like technical progressive. death metal. It's more like progressive. They don't sound like Opeth, but it's progressive in the more Opethian sense, if you know what I mean. It's a really, really good album. I gave it a couple of listens and I really, really enjoyed it. It is quite modern sounding, so it has a modern death metal sound to it. But to my ears, there are a lot of references to Focus era Cynic as well. So they do have some old school sounding parts. And I do think if you like Cynic's album Focus, I think there's a lot of stuff you will enjoy on Restoration for sure. There is a lot of groove on here. I know some people don't like groove in death metal. I love groove in death metal, so I think that's great. The songs are quite riffy as well. But there are lots of interesting details, a lot of interesting chords, kind of unusual chords as well. And they do play around with dissonance, which makes their music quite intense, I would say, sounding in places. You have blast beats, um, and you got kind of black metal sounding parts as well. So I think that's a nice addition to the overall style. You have growls, of course, guttural vocals, but also clean vocals every now and then. So, maybe that's an inspiration from Opeth. I don't know. Uh, and then, super interesting, in a song called Husk, you got something that sounds like throat singing. That's cool. And it works very well. It adds this ominous, slightly off kilter, slightly unsettling atmosphere, but also very, very cool. The guitar solos are actually quite melodic and quite tasty, which I like. And you actually do have that in some more old school death metal artists on their output, where the guitar solos are quite melodic. And I like that they kind of draw on this a little bit too. Um, and you also have like lead themes, as it were, that remind me a little bit of Paradise Lost. They would do that a lot in the olden days. They would have a guitar playing the riff and then a guitar playing like a lead melody on top. And there's a little bit of that on Restoration as well. So as you can gather, there's a lot of stuff going on. Kind of modern sounding, but with a lot of references to the good old 90s, I would say. Uh, you do actually have some straight up Death Doom elements, I would say, to this album. I would say Husk, the song I mentioned already. I think that's kind of a Death Doom song. And there's another song called Off Passing, which also sounds very Death Doomy. Um, and you have some quite atmospheric parts as well with clean guitars and acoustic parts. So it's definitely a super interesting and quite unique, I would say, progressive death metal album with which does pay a lot of homage to the good old, like I said, 90s scene, but it does have a modern sound. And you can check out their single Liminal to get an idea of what their style sounds like. You can check that out um, on YouTube right here. It's a great album. I would definitely recommend checking it out if you're interested in some different yet recognizable in places death metal. Check out Denominate's Restoration. And last, I just want to shout out Radio Rokku Sokuho, uh, a radio show where I am a sidekick co-host, and it's focused on Japanese rock, metal, punk, and so on and so forth. And there's a live show every other Wednesday. It's on a Swedish radio station and it's like a one off. We don't archive anything. So you have to go and listen live. And I'll throw in some links so you can check out where you can listen to Radio Rakusokoho. We have great fun. Um, the main host, David, picks out brand new releases by Japanese rock and metal and punk and dark and alternative idol artists and play them, and then we have fun talking about them, and we have a lot of fun on that radio show. And It's associated with a website also dedicated to Japanese rock music, run by David, called Rokku Sokuho, which I think you can go and check out as well. I think you can get the radio show schedule there. So yeah, definitely if you're into Japanese rock and metal and dark idol stuff and punk and so on and so forth from Japan, go and check out Raku Sokuho. And if you have the time, listen to us make fools of ourselves and have fun on the Radio Raku Sokuho show. So there you go. My plea to the global metal family is basically just go and check out the artists and the record shop that I mentioned. And if you want to check out our radio show, do that as well. And, do whatever you can to support underground artists, uh, local radio shows and podcasts, record shops, uh, all the good stuff, all the good things that come with being a fan of metal music and related music. You know, constructive, be supportive, all that good stuff. For now, thanks for watching.